In life, we encounter people every day, all of whom have stories to share. We rarely take the time to ask people their personal stories, many of which will touch, move, and inspire us in some way. Matt has a passion for making authentic connections and learning about people from all walks of life. He has lived a life of giving back to the community and making a difference in people's lives. Are you ready to meet fascinating people and hear some inspiring stories? The Matt Hilton Show will introduce you to a world of possibilities you never knew existed. Sit back, be present, and enjoy. Here's your host, Matt Hilton.
Hey everyone, your host Matt Hilton here of the Matt Hilton Show. Today's guest is a dear friend of mine in one of my networking groups that I belong to, and she is an avid traveler, and she loves her family, and she has a passion about writing goals to achieve those in life. She's also our premier sponsor. So with that being said, stay tuned for a word from First United and Maria Leach.
Inspired, experienced, customer-focused. Find a mortgage that fits your needs with Maria Leach at First United Bank Mortgage, specializing in construction and closing all types of loans, including jumbo, portfolio, conventional, FHA, and VA. A tenured team, outstanding service, competitive programs. Finance your dreams with Maria Leach at First United Bank Mortgage. mleach.firstunitedteam.com, 214-316-7915, mleach at firstunitedbank.com. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Hello everyone, thank you for tuning in today. And today's guest is a special friend of mine, and she is also the premier sponsor of the Matt Hilton Show, and that is Maria Leach. Maria, welcome, and thank you for being here with us today.
Oh, thank you, Matt. Thank you for inviting me. It's quite a pleasure.
Yeah, for sure. So we met through an organization called BNI, and BNI stands for Business Networking International, right? So you've been a part of BNI for a while.
Yes, I've been a part of BNI for about 20 years now. My mentor, Phyllis Glover, started a chapter and let me be a co-person to sponsor with her. And it's been a wonderful experience. I mean, as you know, we've got 45 members. We always stay at about 45 members, and you just make so many wonderful friends and business partners, and it's an amazing opportunity.
Yeah, so what has been your greatest accomplishment within BNI? Have you met some extraordinary people? Have you done interesting deals?
It's the people that you meet within the group. It's not about what you receive, it's about what you're able to give. And so when you have so many members, yes, I might get a loan, yes, I might get a referral, and that's always exciting. But it's when you see somebody that you can help, when you see someone that you can give out to. And there's so many kind, wonderful people that you would never meet in a regular business organization networking event. It's very sporadic, and there's lots of people, and you might meet one or two. But you would never see each one every week and truly become friends with 40 to 45 and really learn what their needs are and how you can help them. So it's just a very giving organization.
So for our viewers, how do you build relationships within a large group of 45 people? I know I'm a member and I know the answer to this, but do you just spend time at the meeting getting to know people? How do you build those relationships?
So mostly you'll spend time at the meeting, and you'll have that hour, and you have 15 or 20 minutes before and after the meeting to get to sit next to someone, get to know them a little bit better, ask more in-depth questions. But you also meet outside the meeting, and we call those one-to-ones. Okay. And so we're able to go to lunch, go get a cup of coffee, something like that, and get to learn a little bit more about who they really are, not just about their business. Because it's amazing when you find out what people's purpose are, their purpose is, and things like that. You might even want to give more. In fact, I spoke to someone the other day and didn't realize that she was supporting 4 children all by herself. At the meeting, you don't know that. You don't hear that.
Yeah.
And oh my goodness, when you hear that and the struggle and the love and everything that's coming from that person and her drive to be able to do that, you think, I've got to find a referral for her. And it says so much more about the person.
Yeah.
That I know that.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. And yeah, BNI is so different than other organizations, because with the chamber, or, chamber's great in its own right, and so are other networking groups, right? But BNI has that exclusive seat, right? And within our BNI chapter, you hold an exclusive seat, and that is? Mortgage. All right. So how did you get into the mortgage industry, and who do you work with? And I mean, I know everybody can see that on our show through the the slide at the very beginning. But tell
Well,
us
I've
a little
just
bit.
been so blessed. Again, I was a realtor over 20 years ago for Phyllis Glover on her team. And so then my sister got into mortgage. We're very close. It's my twin sister. And so I stayed with Phyllis for 8 years and then transitioned into mortgage. Back then you could transition a little easier. And I still had a idea about, how contracts worked and everything like that to make it a little bit easier. But it's been a blessing in every way. And I'm so fortunate for the company that I work for, First United. They have strong pillars. Our pillars that we do, the whole organization is based on our faith, family, spirituality, and personal growth. So it's amazing to be in such a positive environment every day. And the other thing I love about mortgage and what I do over all these years are the people that I'm able to help. Once again, it's not about how much you get every day. You might get that $3 million loan that everyone's saying, oh, I want that one, I want that one.
Right.
But what about the person that gets their first house, that never thought they could get one, that you fixed their credit, that you taught them how to build everything, and they finally get that first house? I mean, those people, it's just, something that you're giving back to your community in a way that I'm just blessed to be able to do it.
Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah. No, that's fantastic. And the market is shifting or has shifted. And I know you have been able to tell that on the mortgage side. I've been able to tell that on the realtor side.
Mm-hmm.
So how has that affected business on the mortgage side?
What I see the most is those first-time homebuyers are having such a tough time right now. In Texas, we're so blessed. Back in 2008 and 2009, when things got tough everywhere else, we didn't, because we have those strong homestead laws, and Texas has always not had the decrease in things the same way other parts of the country might. So I still feel very fortunate. But, our first-time homebuyers, you've seen that, they're priced out of the market right now. And so I'm hoping things will level off a little bit and let them come back in again. Everyone worries about rates. My first house, my interest rate was 8.75%. So, we're still below 6. So it's
For
gonna
now,
be
yeah.
it's gonna be okay. We're gonna make it through.
Yeah.
We've been through it once, we'll get through it again. We just
Yeah.
are able to give a little bit more attention to our clients now.
Yeah, for sure.
build
And
those-
but back when you were buying your first house, prices weren't as much as
I
they
know.
were as they are now, right? So that
Yeah.
kind of prices people out of the market. for
Definitely,
first-time
the
home
first-time home buyers having a tough time right now. And in fact, sometimes I don't even know how they're doing it because the guidelines haven't changed. So the debt to income and everything is the same as back then. So, you see a lot more people having to have 2 jobs and things of that nature, having to add a parent to the loan, different things like that to be able to get in. And so, and what I find is that if we can help them, and we do everything we can to get there, but you've said pricing is just out of the roof. Rents have gotten so high. So you're almost just trying to figure out anything that you can do to make it work for someone, because they could almost buy a house for less than they could rent. But I am starting to see, and maybe you have, instead of seeing 40 offers on a house anymore, we're seeing 2 and 3. So, and I don't think last year I saw a house that people weren't paying cash for $300,000 or less. And now I'm starting to see us be able to get those loans again. So maybe it's
Okay.
easing up just a little bit.
I think it is. And when I said earlier that it's shifting, it is shifting as far as what I'm seeing on the listing side is houses are staying on the market a little longer. Instead of them going under contract in a matter of hours or a day or two, right? They stay on the market for a week or 2 weeks.
I got
whatever
one
that may look
today,
like.
and they wrote it last Wednesday, and they finally just accepted it because they kept waiting for another offer. Because I was working with a buyer, working with a buyer, and so it went just at a week, and then they finally accepted the offer.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. Like you just said, people are waiting a little longer.
Yeah, so the agents, in our industry and in this area need to start having different conversations with their sellers, right? And setting expectations that don't expect for it to sell in the first weekend, or don't expect for us to be able to price it at the high point of the market, right? We may need to be a little more conservative in pricing.
I think we're definitely going to get there, and the appraised value. So, as you know, everyone was having to offer so much over the appraised value, which also cut our first time buyers out because they just didn't have that much cash saved, right? They're first time home buyer. So now that it's getting a little bit more level out, perhaps, I think we're going to get there as interest rates continue to go up, then that first time home buyer isn't going to be expected to pay $20,000 over the appraised value. So hopefully that's going to help them kind of get back in the game a little bit too, and just kind of level everything out.
Yeah, for sure. So I want to go back to what you were talking about with First United and the 4 pillars. So I find those 4 pillars to be very unique to your company. A lot of companies have mission statements and vision statements and values and beliefs, right? But with First United, those 4 pillars are located on the lobby wall as you first walk in, right?
In all of our, I'm sorry to make that.
No.
In all of our lobbies, we have the 4 pillars. And I'm lucky in our conference room downtown, we have 4 doors that when they close, it shows all the pillars. It's really cool. But in every lobby, we've got the 4 pillars. We've got a book on every pillar that you can just check out. You can take it. We want everyone to be able to grow. And truly, it's not just a mission statement that just sits there. It's throughout the entire company. It's making sure that everybody reaches their goals, from someone who just started to the president. The president follows all of these too. And we have annual meetings about them and quarterly meetings. And it's just such a blessing to be in a place that really encourages you to grow, not just in your business, but in all areas of your life. And I was talking to someone the other day, and I was like, they're like, how does that work? And I was like, well, think about it. If you love your family the same way that I love my family, so I'm a mama bear, think about how much harder I work to reach those family goals. If I didn't have any goals except for just my work goals, then I probably wouldn't achieve what I've achieved, because it gives you the why.
Let's talk about the why for a minute. What is your why, Maria?
Oh, you're gonna know me again. My why is my family, just 100%. I always tell everybody, I just pinch myself every day because I'm so lucky. And everyone's like, why do you really feel that way? And I've got a husband of 22 years that I've known for 27.
Yeah.
I've got a perfect son that is perfect in every way to me. And I've got 6 beautiful grandchildren. I've got dogs that I adore. When you wake up, what is there to be unhappy for? I mean, when you have family, and I'm very, very close to all my siblings, very close to my mother, I was extremely close to my father. I mean, what is there in the world that's less important than that?
Right.
I've just been very blessed to have a great family.
Great family. Great relationships with business associates, it sounds like,
absolutely.
with me and I, and your work that you do at First United.
Oh, everything, yes. And it all, everybody has a bad day here and there, but there's just no point in ever dwelling on it. It should just be just a little small, just little blip, and then you just move on, because it's like if I get a little stressed out at work, but then I see a red cardinal. What's the stress at work when you just see this beautiful red cardinal outside? We love cardinals in my family. So it's, these things just start, they're small. Life is so precious and life is so short. And we're just blessed we're here in America.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I've heard it said quite a few times that your quick initial reaction to something is not something you can control, but your second reaction.
Oh, that's good.
Right? Your follow-up.
Absolutely.
You can't control that, right? So something may hit you at a point one day that it wouldn't affect you the same way the next day, right? But so that's what's meant by you can't really control your first initial reaction to something, but you can control subsequent reactions. So
it's like we've all learned. It's something to teach our children too. They're small. They're, most of the time we get so upset about something and we're like, oh my gosh, this deadline passed and what am I going to do? Blah, blah, blah. And if you just take a deep breath, then everything can be fixed. Nothing is going to be life ending or just, they're really, most of the things we get so nervous about or upset about are small in the whole perspective of everything.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, for sure.
I love this second, take a breath and think about it a second moment and it's all going to be okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So as far as Tristan, let's talk about Tristan for a
My
second.
Tristan.
Your Tristan. So I just saw your eyes lit up and you beamed when you talked about your son and how proud of a mom you are. So what are you most proud of Tristan for?
Oh my goodness. Just everything, just who he's becoming as a man. I have complete 100% unconditional love. So, I'm going to be biased on everything. But we live in a world where it's harder to stand up for your values, especially when you're going from high school to college and you're moving out and all, and people are trying to press you in certain directions. And so I think being able to stand up for values that he's learned or be able to ask the questions. So sometimes he'll be thinking, wait, this isn't what I've learned, and this is a little bit different. But then I'll be like, hey, Mom, what do you think about this? And I love that we've become friends. I'm not like just a mom anymore.
Right.
But
Right.
just who he's becoming as a person. When you have a good heart, everything else will fall into place. And he does. He has a great heart.
Fantastic. Fantastic. And those 6 grandkids?
Oh my goodness, we had 2 just in the last 3 months.
Oh, my word.
I know. So, so 2 of them live in Germany. So they're coming back though. So I haven't
Yeah.
seen them as often. But we're just so very blessed. And one of my newest ones is my sister's assistant married my stepson.
Oh, wow.
And they
Okay,
had a
small
baby.
world, yeah. That's fantastic.
So it's awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
Very lucky.
Maria, what is your greatest fear in life?
Well, we were talking about this earlier. It used to be being eaten by a shark because I saw Jaws when I was 14. And so we know that that's not going to happen because I wouldn't get in the water. And so I really, I don't have a ton of fear anymore. Maybe when I was younger, you have fears like that are kind of silly. But I actually overcame that fear because my son loves to scuba dive. And so I wanted to be with him all the time and do things with him and not show him fear. So I can't open dive. I am still a little fearful of that. But I've gotten in before with him, and then my sister will do the open dives with him. But, I don't have a lot of fear anymore. Again, it just doesn't play a role in my life because there's too many positives. There's too many, and when I say that I know not everybody maybe has this close a family or this or that, but there's the small positives that you can look for. And if you're looking for those small things that are so great and they're so special, then there's just not a lot of, I just don't let fear just really come in that often.
Yeah, and when we were talking earlier too, I love the acronym of fear is false evidence appearing real, right? So a lot of times the fears that we have aren't real. It's just what we've been conditioned, programmed from watching a show, right? A movie of Jaws eating you. But that was a programming that happened, right, when you were younger. And so you feared the open water. I would challenge you to get in a Shark Tank and let them swim around you. Did you ever do that?
I got in a dolphin one, and that was hard enough because the fins, they still have fins.
Right.
And again, I was just doing it to be with my son. I don't know how I got through that one. But no, I don't know if I could get in a Shark Tank. My sister's getting ready to go swim with the big whale sharks in a month.
Oh, yeah?
So we'll see how that all goes. But the whale sharks, they're nice, so it'll be okay. At least it's a shark. I didn't get a chance to go in that one, but no, that's fear's just it can be a part of us, and it can define who we are. We can just move on and grow and become a better person for not having it.
Yeah, for sure.
Fear just holds us back.
It does. And a lot of fear comes out of change, right? And, people are afraid of change because they aren't sure what's on the other side. Well, how are you going to know what's on the other side unless you actually do something outside of your comfort zone or change?
We grow so much. We were just talking about BNI, and 20 years ago when we started BNI, I couldn't even stand in front of a group of people and say my 60-second commercial. And now you're helping me grow, and I'm here today. So it's amazing what just a little bit of growth and a little bit let go of those fears, just how much we can overcome and become and
for
show
sure.
to others. So
And you're doing a wonderful job today, by the
Oh.
way. You are.
thank you, man.
For sure. You haven't done this before? Like,
You
you're
know I
surprising me.
haven't. You know I haven't.
Talking about your sister, you're a twin. How was that growing up with a twin?
You know, once again, I'm just so lucky because I
Yeah.
always had my best friend, and I still do.
Mhm.
So I was worried at first because my son, I have three perfect stepchildren, but my son was younger and they were already out of the house when he was born. And I always felt kind of bad because he was the only one, although he's very close to everyone now that everyone's gotten older and stuff. And just because I had such a close relationship, I have a sister 2 years older and a younger brother 4 years. We're all very close, but nothing like having a twin. It's your best friend.
Right.
Always will be.
Is the twin intuition, is that real? Like, do you sense when she's sad, or do you sense when something's going on? I mean, does that...
Not as much
happen?
from a distance, I think, but what drives my husband insane is that, because she stays with us a lot, because she lives in New Mexico and comes here to work,
Mhm.
is that we can talk about different subjects simultaneously and know what each other is always going to say. So
Interesting.
that drives my husband just batty. And we don't have to wait for the other person to answer, and we can just go on to something else, because we already know we're the same person in a way.
Yeah.
Except she's pragmatic and I'm not. I'm the weeper.
So as we move on, I want to ask you, as far as a question I ask my guests quite often, is what would you tell your younger self, knowing what you know today?
Well, I can just talk about the things they work really hard on with my son, and that's goal setting, which we've already talked about, and in all the areas. And he's been doing that since he was about 12. He's not perfect at it, and I still have to press and push a little bit, but I know he's going to get there. And it just made such a huge impact in making me think about everything, that there's nothing more impactful in my life that got me to where I am today was the goal setting, just 100%. And then also, just I was never taught about money or anything like that. And so I remember the first house I ever bought, my sister goes, Maria, do you ever make your car payment? I can't believe I'm saying this right now. I go, of course I make my car payment. And she goes, you make it late every single month. And I go, well, I still make it. Like, I didn't know that I wasn't what I was doing. And so I've taught my son that you put 10% of everything you make into savings. And even when he got his allowance, he puts 10% in. Now that he's working, he still puts 10% in. We always talk about what's an emergency. Can you ever touch that savings account? And he's never touched it. Well, he did cheat once, but he put it right back. So, you know, it's having those conversations that I wish somebody had those with me. He's looked at a credit report and he understands how to grow credit and what he needs to do with it and how he doesn't want to touch it, and that we've created it the way it's supposed to be, and that if you can't afford it, you don't charge it. So, you know, I wish those are the things I really wish I had learned much earlier in my life, but I'm just so blessed to have ever learned them now, and now I can teach them.
That's what I was about to say. You have changed the trajectory of future generations just in knowing that and passing that on to Tristan and however many others, because I know you do a thorough counseling, quote, financial counseling, if you will, with those people who do apply for a mortgage and help them through that process. So I'm sure you're imparting some of your wisdom on those people as well.
That's the blessing that I get. That's what I'm so blessed to do in my job. I know a lot of people, you know, they might pull a credit report and they say, okay, this credit's not perfect. Sorry, you can't get this loan, and move on. Well, I never want to say no, because that's somebody's dream. So we don't ever say no. We say, not right now, but let's do this, and then we'll be able to. And so it just gives somebody hope, and everybody needs to have that in their life. Like I said, I'm super blessed, but maybe someone doesn't feel blessed at that minute. We've all had times that we didn't feel perfect. I mean, in my 20s and things like that, we all had those. And so you just need to uplift. And I'm fixing all the credit and building credit for all my son's roommates as well.
There we go.
So they're all going to have flawless credit someday. We're almost there. I pulled July 1st for our first go round.
Oh, wow. That's exciting. That's exciting stuff. What are some things that, well, I'm going to word it another way. You know, I have this nonprofit.
Yes.
And so I'm going to ask you a couple of questions.
Okay.
Because our viewers and listeners may be able to help some dreams come true for you. So, who do you know is the nonprofit that I'm the Chief Happiness Officer for, right? And we have 3 pillars that we make dreams come true for people of all walks of life. And we do that by making connections. And those 3 pillars, talking about pillars.
I know, I love that.
So 3 pillars. One is a person you want to meet. The next one is a place you want to visit. And the next one is an experience you want to have. And that experience could be that Shark Tank. But anyway, so going back to a person you want to meet, who's alive, by the way. So we can't make dreams come true of, making Abraham Lincoln come back from the dead. So who's a person that Maria Leach would love to meet?
I don't know if I'd be too nervous, but probably someone that impacted me the most would be Brian Buffini through Phyllis Glover. And so I've never met him in person, but he does know who I am through Phyllis. When Phyllis passed, we wrote notes to each other. That's the other thing, aside from goal setting, is handwritten notes. And I'm working on that with my son. But so Brian Buffini talks about the handwritten note and how powerful and impactful that can be. And so I have his note on my board, but there's a kindness about him, and because I've grown so much over the past 21, 22 years since I've been following him, I think he'd be proud of me, because it's him who brought it all out. I mean, it was me that did the work, but he brought it out of me. I could have never achieved what I've achieved today, or taught people, or my son, or my husband, or anyone the things that we've accomplished. My sister the same, without his knowledge. His knowledge is just amazing, and how he brings it out in people is phenomenal.
Yeah, it really is. I have been a follower of Brian Buffini as well. So I actually do pop-bys and the handwritten notes and things of that nature too. So it's impactful because there is a lost art to the handwritten note, as he says, right? So, when I go to the mailbox, what is the first thing that I open? A handwritten note.
If you get one,
right?
because otherwise it's just a bill.
Right.
And
or
you think
trash advertisements, right?
You're just over the trash can like this.
Right.
Think of all the people that don't get anything. Think of someone that lost someone, or they had a bad day and you happen to be talking to them on the phone, and you heard what happened, and then you send them a note and you're thinking about them, and you throw in a $5 Starbucks gift card. Think of how they feel when they get that. And a lot of times it's someone I can't do alone for, especially that I want to make those notes go out to, because it's someone then that they get something, they know somebody cares, and they don't give up. They're like, I'm not going to give up, because she's going to believe in me, and she's going to help me with that credit.
Yeah.
So, the art of the handwritten note's phenomenal. And boy, that's a tough one to teach to the young ones.
Especially when they quit teaching handwriting for a while.
So my son will kill me, but I actually bought one of those books that you teach cursive for the little teeny kids, like in kindergarten or whatever. And my son came home from school and from college as a freshman, and I said, Tristan, you've got to improve your handwriting. It's too small, and it's just not where it needs to be. I go, you need to fill this workbook out. And he looked at me, he's like, are you insane, mother? And I go, no. I mean, you need to be proud of who you are and write. I don't know. Did
it help his handwriting?
We're still working on it.
Okay.
He's only been home for 3 weeks, and he had his wisdom teeth out the first week, and he had COVID the other 2. So he's like, Mom, I want to go back to the river.
Right. All right. So Brian Buffini. Okay. Brian Buffini, everybody. Let's make this happen. A place you want to go. Where's a place that you would love to visit?
Because of Brian, my sister and I have a lot of written goals, and we've been to a lot of places. So we've saved, and we've done all the things that we're supposed to do to get there. So I've been to a lot of my dream vacations. My first one was when I was 20 with her, and we went to Greece, and we just never wanted to come back. We cried in the New York International Airport and didn't know what to do. We were 21. We're like, we want to go back. And so I've been there 3 times since. I took my dad back 2 years later because it was so beautiful. I wanted him to see it. So my son wanted to be the crocodile hunter, and so I took him to Australia when he was 14. I've just done a lot of things, but places we still haven't been. On Ann and I's bucket list is still Antarctica to see the penguins. Portugal, because everyone who's been to Greece told me that Portugal's even better. I don't know how it could be, but I'm curious.
Okay.
And the penguins, everything always usually has to do with an animal of some kind. But you know, we'll get there. They're all on our list. So I know I'll get there. I'm not sure when, but I will. And I have to take my son to Greece because he's never been.
Interesting. You made a very profound statement just then. I don't know if you realized it, but it's on your list.
Oh yeah,
And so you know it's going to happen.
Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt at all.
Right.
And going to Greece again, even though it's a tough one because I've been 3 times, but I have to go the 4th for my son to see it because he has to see my favorite place, and it was also my father's when I took him. So I have to show it to him so he can see it with me, you know. But because that'll be really special for us. But that's not too far away.
Yeah. I'm going to divert for just a minute from that last question of an experience you want to have. And I want to ask you something about your father. Like, what was something that your father taught you that you are now able to live through or pass on to Tristan and your stepchildren?
I'm working on the passing on to Tristan. It's such a different generation because Dad was back from the Cary Grant era, you know, of just so elegant and just, you know, I don't think he ever would have understood going to the grocery store in your pajamas and slippers. And, you know, times have really changed. I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean the life has just changed some. And he grew up in the Great Depression where you have nothing and you strive everything you can to be who you're to get anything that you can and to work as hard as you can. And I remember he used to talk about, you know, if you had to beg on the streets, you got off as quickly as you could. It didn't matter how much you were going to make. If it was going to be 2 cents, you just did not want to be on the streets. And it was just a different time and a different era that we've kind of grown from. And I miss it more nostalgically. I'm not critical of where we are today because we have to grow as a country and everything else. But I miss the kind of the beauty of the past that we've let go of a little bit, I feel like sometimes. And so he still is within me with those types of things, just manners. You know, people forget to say thank you. When you see someone, when you're at the CVS, I was there the other day, and everyone's just all grumpy and cranky because the line's too long. That person's working as fast as she can. And when did someone tell her thank you for working so hard before? You know, just a gentle kindness. He was a very kind man, and so. You know, that's just, I was very blessed to have him as my father.
Yeah, and that trait is very evident in you because you are a very kind person.
Oh.
Yes, you are. And I see that every week at BNI. I see that today, so thank you for being you.
Oh, thank you.
Yes,
I was blessed to have him.
Yes, ma'am. That third pillar. What experience you want to have? And that could be, like I said, the Shark Tank. It could be
you want me to get in that Shark Tank. My sister jumped out of a plane. I wimped out. And I didn't go with her.
So there's some experience that you would like to have. It could be a Cowboys game on Thanksgiving Day. Like, that's an experience. So.
I mean, there's just so many wonderful things. I couldn't pick. I mean, sometimes just having a family dinner is such a great experience. My son's home. I mean, it doesn't have to be big. I don't have like cowboy games and things like that. It would be a trip with my family. It would be an experience with my son. I couldn't even name them because there's so many things that are on my list that I want to make sure that we get to do together, that I want to make sure that he and I have so many close memories and that he's learned everything that I can teach him. I don't want to ever pass to my next life and hang out with my dad and drink martinis until I know that I've given everything to Tristan that I can. So it's going to be about all those memories and things that we can build together. And I include my husband and my sister and all that, but you know, it's just, I have such a close family. So,
yeah.
But there's not one experience. There's going to be a lot.
There's going to be a lot.
There's going to be a lot.
And they're on your list.
Yes.
I would love to see that list one day. Would love to see that list.
I mean, just watching him walk across the stage when he gets his college diploma, how great is that going to be?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, a proud mom moment, huh?
it's going to be amazing. And, you know, I keep telling everyone that I talk to and to Tristan, you know, you put that 10% away. And when he was born, I said, you will never have a student loan and I will put you through college. And my dad had to go through the VA way. He was in Korea War, and then he got to go to school and become an attorney that way. But so he didn't have student loans, but I did. And so Tristan doesn't have student loans. And he's learning what that's like because he has all of his friends trying to decide if they want to stay in because they're going to have student loans. And it's not a right or a wrong or a bad thing or a good thing. It's, you know, I was lucky that I was taught by Phyllis and Brian to put that 10% away. And I wrote it down and I said, that's really what I want. And so I gave up other things for that. It doesn't mean that someone forgot. They just didn't know. We don't teach our kids. Nobody taught me until I was almost in my 40s. At least 38.
Yeah.
You know, to do those things. So schools need to think about that too. Just how to have a class on how to be able to retire, how to be able to not have college debt, how to be able to save money and all of those things, because it doesn't take a lot. It's amazing. Yeah. I do a little bit for all my grandkids, and the smallest amount has added up so much from 0 to 8. It's shocking. We always look at it and go, wow, how'd that happen? Without hardly any effort.
Is it not to get personal, is it a consistent little amount, right?
But it's consistent. It's every month. Consistent.
Dollar cost averaging, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And so it's shocking at what it does, but that's been that was one of my life changing, you know, goal writing, and that's life changing for me.
Okay. And I hope everybody's listening to that part too, because that can change the trajectory of someone's life, right? When you learn the power of money and have money work for you instead of you working for the money. Exactly. Right? So, dollar cost averaging, investments and different types of...
It doesn't have to be much. I mean, you just want to have that little bit of buffer. I mean, I started off just wanting to have, you know, half a month of my mortgage in case something happened. And then it's kind of grown from there, and now I can do other things. But if I hadn't started at that point and made that mindset, and I always put the same amount away, now I can split things up a little differently, then I would never be where I am today if I hadn't learned about the 10% rule. And then you can increase it to 15 or 11 or 20 or whatever someone's able to do. Yeah. But 10% you don't really miss. You don't even I have a son that I work with that he was a foster child 4 times, and so he's been in Tristan's dorm and I'm helping him, and he's working on it too. And I remind him, I know he's waiting tables and he's doing these things, and it seems like we're just going from paycheck to paycheck and barely making it. But if you take 10% of that, that's going to Starbucks. I mean, it's just really not that much. He can put that aside. And so I get to see his accounts and we work on that together. And it's not perfect because he didn't have any of that growing up, but he's getting there and he's seeing that. And I you know, I can only imagine what his past has been like, but I can only help him try to get to the next step, you know.
For sure.
So.
And what do you see that works better? Is it being automatically taken out of the check before he even sees it? Okay.
Automatic if you can.
Putting it in.
So for Tristan, I wanted him to physically put it in. I give him his allowance. He physically moves it over because I want him to have the action of doing it. So it's sticking up here. I have to put my 10%. I have to put my 10% in. But I think for most people, and even for me, now that I know the action, to make it consistent is just to have it automatically done. Because even me now, as long as I've done things, if it wasn't automatic, I might go, oh, what about those shoes? Or, you know, but if it's automatic, it's just done and gone. I never even see it. So my checks are done that way. My at First United, and First United has a program for that too, by the way, where you get your check in your checking account and a certain portion always goes in your savings. And I know that you can move from your savings back to your checking, but you have to physically move it. Yeah. How great is that? What company does that? They truly want to help people grow and save and not just spend. So, you know, I just fell into a company that I was so blessed to have all the values they already have.
Yeah. I mean, it happens in everybody's check, right, with taxes.
Right.
Those are withdrawn and you don't see the money.
But sometimes I know I've had to move money. I was like, oh, I thought this check was going to be bigger than that. And I go, oh, that's all in my savings. I got to move it over a little bit. But, you know, I just think it's interesting how they try to set us up to be successful. And yes, we may have to move things around and everything. And I remember Phyllis used to tell me, you're going to put it in savings and you're going to have to use it, Maria, because you don't have any savings yet. But it's the act of putting it there and becoming consistent where over time, the majority of the time it stays there. And it's just understanding it, learning the process. And nobody teaches these things anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, or I don't know, maybe they do. I was not taught that. So,
I wasn't taught that either.
and so I had extremely loving parents, but I didn't learn how money works.
Yeah. Well, Maria, how can someone reach you for their mortgage needs? And yeah, what advice do you have for those first-time home buyers or those that are downsizing or upsizing? Or what? I mean, just free talk here about mortgage.
Oh, you know, I'm happy to answer any questions for someone. Anyone can call me. You've got my information. It comes up on the screen, whatever anybody wants. I'm here just to help, to answer questions, to be there for someone. It doesn't mean that you have to do something right away or be nervous to call because you're just trying to see what it's going to be like, the process. That's what we're here for. We're here just to educate. I mean, through education, I've just been blessed to be able to do so many loans, but we want to help you first. And even if it's moving up or moving down or whatever that might be, that's why we're here. And one of the things, again, if we're going to talk mortgage, is that I love is that I am at a bank like First United that has that solid background, that has those pillars, and everyone through the whole culture of the bank believes in those items, and they want to make sure that if I get a loan and I have to close in 14 days, they're going to help me do everything I can to close in that 14 days. And they're not just a no bank, they're a how can we make it happen bank. And that's for anyone. So we do a lot of construction and things that are unusual that other banks don't do. A lot of doctor's loans, and we do things just on stated income again. And so the thing I love about our underwriters is they're not a no underwriter. They're a let's try this, and I think we can get there underwriter. Mm-hmm. So it's not just about me. It has a whole team behind me that helps me make all those other dreams come true for someone. So any questions, just call me. We're here
Fantastic.
To help.
And we will do that. And to all the listeners and viewers out there, please, if you have a mortgage need, contact Maria Leach. She is our premier sponsor on the Matt Hilton Show. And I'm so excited you were here with us today, and look forward to seeing you in about 3 months or so.
Thank you, Matt. It was a pleasure, and thank you for being such a wonderful person to look up to, and to make me feel so comfortable, and just everything about you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you for making all these dreams come true for people, too.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Thanks, Maria. Y'all have a great day. See y'all next week.
The Matt Hilton Show would like to thank our sponsors, Hilton Realty Advisors and Maria Leach with the First United Mortgage Group. The Matt Hilton Show would also like to thank our partners, the Who Do You Know organization. You can find out more at wdyk.org. If you'd like to contact Matt or know a fascinating person with an inspiring story that would make a great guest, reach out to the show at themattHiltonshow@gmail.com.